Okay, so I'm going to get you feeling good about being face-to-face again. We're going to get offline. No. I'm Megan Powers, and I got my master's in communication and leadership studies. And when you get your master's, you have to write a thesis. And they say to write it on something that you're passionate about, because by the end, you put so much work into it, you're going to hate the topic if you didn't love it already. So as somebody who has been working in the meetings industry in one form or another since '98, I definitely felt like I needed to do something to do with meetings and events. Who here finds face-to-face communication valuable? All of us. I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but some interesting stuff came out of my survey and the research that I did. But what became glaringly obvious as I looked for research that had already been done was that there wasn't any. There was the only data that I could find to back up my reason for writing my master's thesis was from IT people. So I did it on face-to-face versus online communication within the context of trade shows. I wanted to do meetings and events as a whole, but it was too broad. And I only had 6 months. So by the way, putting 6 months worth of work into 6 minutes right now is kind of a challenge, but I'm going to do my best. So basically, there were 3 questions I posed. One is face-to-face the best form of communication? Is online communication a good substitute, or is it a combination of the two? And so I set out, I surveyed 331 event professionals with different jobs, and I'll show you the jobs in a second. But and then I also did what's called an autoethnography, which is my own personal experience having served in each of those roles and examples of when face-to-face was or wasn't the best result. So I have been a marketing executive and a meeting planner and a venue salesperson and an audiovisual production salesperson, and now I have a marketing consulting business, so I'm working with all kinds of companies within the industry and hospitality in general. I also love to jump off and out of things, so I'm in a nutshell. I thought I'd throw those in there. Anybody else gonna zip line with me later? So, and I apologize that it's definitely hard to see the small print, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the 4 different job types that I surveyed. So trade show attendees, whether you're a buyer or not, a meeting and show planner, somebody who's in charge of the events, an exhibitor, which is typically a salesperson, right? And then marketing professionals or executives who are generally in charge of budgets for those kinds of shows. And I have served in each one of those roles. So there were 2 different sections to the survey. Relationship building was one side and commerce was the other. That's basically what it boils down to, right? We're building relationships with each other. We're trying to learn, yes, but we're also trying to add to the bottom line for the companies that we work for or for our clients. So if given the chance to attend a meeting face-to-face, of course, not a surprise, right? 91% of the people basically said, yes, I would definitely choose face-to-face. So some interesting data came out of the sales conversions and follow-up. So I asked if you measure sales conversions from leads acquired. 38% said they didn't. And that to me was shocking. Yeah, it's a lower percentage than the other, but just something to think about. I mean, we should all be measuring what works and what doesn't. And then we're methodical in how we follow up with leads after the trade shows we attend. 71% said that they are. So those 2 numbers, are fairly close, but still, it should be 100%. And then inquiry regarding commerce. Does your organization depend on sales acquired through trade shows to sustain your business? 62% said no, which is fine, right? Because there's other channels. We're all selling in different ways other than in environments like this. But then what percentage of your organization's revenue do you think comes from trade show sales? And 63% said 0 to 19%. What's interesting though is, what do we determine to be success? And that's something that was the most interesting thing, is I felt like the executives and the salespeople didn't agree. Generally, they also got to write short answers. And what else did they want to add? And the executives just felt like, for the most part, it's just something we have to do. we just gotta be there. We gotta FaceTime, you know, but I don't expect sales to come out, and sales aren't really coming out of it. But the salespeople felt like they were. So that made me think, like, so when do you measure? Because we know, sometimes you meet people, they may have a 1, 2, or 3-year contract with another vendor, and it takes you some time to get a chance at that business. But if I met you here, there's still value in that, right? Like, even if I don't close the business for 2 years. So I think that's a conversation that salespeople should be having with their bosses in terms of pipeline and, you know, what they find value in. Because I think they're not really on the same page. So in terms of efficiency, so when I set out to write this, I was trying to prove one particular theorist wrong. His theory is that you can do anything online that you can do face-to-face, it just takes longer. Like anything. I had breakfast with him. I asked if I could buy him coffee. It's cool to like meet a living theorist too, right? Like I was like, hey, I want. So I tracked him down at this conference, and at a conference, right? And he bought me breakfast, and he was 25 minutes late to his next appointment. But he stood firm, and I kept saying, like, he kept asking me questions. I go, well, you can't do that. I wouldn't have run into that person. I wouldn't have met that person. How do you know? How do you know? And he was like a 3-year-old. Why? But in the end, I said, so why are you here? And he said, because it's easier. Bingo, right? And then I followed up with him to let him know that I could thank him, and to let him know that I was including him in my thesis. He did not email me back. So a year later, I saw him at the same conference. Stupid luck, I was charging my phone, sitting on the floor, and I saw him walking by, and I could tell, I knew what he was looking for. I said, you looking for Hall C? He said, yeah. I get up and I'm like, do you remember me from last year? And I told him, and I said, you know, funny thing is, I emailed you and I didn't hear back. And he's sheepish, like, oh man. I said, he goes, well, it only works if somebody communicates back, right? And I said, yeah, but the thing is, and I gave you the benefit of the doubt, I don't even know if you got my email. So that's the trick, right? We rely so much on technology, and wow, I emailed them and I didn't hear anything back. You don't know that they got it. So just some food for thought as far as following up and not relying solely on that online communication. Trust. So I'm more likely to trust someone I've met in person, 93%. No surprise, right? I'm comfortable doing business exclusively online and over the phone. Pretty even split between those who feel comfortable and those who don't. But the bottom line is that more research is needed. I mean, for real, I tried to survey MPI members through the organization, MPCMI members through the organization. The only organization that let me was IAEE, and 4 out of 11,000 people who got the email took the survey. So the 331 people I got were via Facebook and LinkedIn, just sort of grassroots, like, share this with your friends. And I feel like I had high hopes to get like 700 or 1,000 responses. I got 331, which is still a good portion, but we can do better. And that's kind of one of the things I just want to impress upon you guys today with sharing this with you, is that, well, and hopefully with HTM programs, you know, there'll be more research, but I think there's value in academic research that's not sponsored by a company, you know, to let the world know that what we're doing, this face-to-face business, has value. So some notable quotes, I'm gonna skip over that because I've already gone long. But so at the heart of it, the moral of the story is that it's a combination of the two. It's not one or the other exclusively. It's face-to-face meeting that's preceded by online communication and followed up with online communication. But we all know, you know, like those of you who've been to this before, so much fun, right? To see those people again, but it's even more fun to close business from people that you've met. So when I worked in sales, this is one of the big stats that I put in my portion of the results. 90% of the RFPs that I got in 3 years that I was working for AV Concepts came from people that I met at conferences, which may or may not include a trade show, but you get the idea, face-to-face. And then 85% of the $2.5 million worth of business that I closed in my final year there was from those RFPs. Business that I likely wouldn't have had I not been in an environment like this. Had I not been at PCMA in New Orleans and got to have lunch with the Oracle planners who people say you can't get access to. It's like, I got the RFP a few months later. So, point being, face-to-face is important, and that's why I'm here, and I'm glad you all are here. And if you want to know any more about my reason, obviously there's a lot more, right? 6 months worth. Let me know. Thank you.